So actually, Alex, you just made a very good setting the scene for this upcoming panel. So we're actually now then continuing on the same theme, continuing on the smart cities, but bringing it to the context of Dubai. So where are we in terms of smartness in Dubai? And also then in terms of like really prescriptions, how do we do that? Now we know what is being smart, how to become a global hub, what does it take? But how do we actually do that in practice here in Dubai? So with that, I would like to invite here on stage our panelists. So we have Alexandar, the Director of Future Economy at Dubai Department of Economic Development. Dr. Sherine from Abu Dhabi University. So actually, Dr. Sherine is the person behind all this, so maybe we give her a second round of applause. She's the Assistant Provost of Academic Programs at Abu Dhabi University. Then we have Sangeeth, Ibrahim, the Head of Learning and Development at Sharjah Islamic Bank. So I'd like to just say a couple of words about smart cities first before we go into the panel. And I think one first question really that I would say is that why do we talk about cities? Why is there so much hype now about smart cities that you even get a fatigue sometimes? Why always a smart city? What makes it so smart? But a city really is a very good context of trying new things, trying new citizen participation model, economic models, trying new businesses, new technologies. Since in the cities we have presence the whole triple helix or the quadruple helix actors that we need for these innovation ecosystems. And with these we talk about industry, we talk about government, we talk about universities, and we talk about citizens. So these are definitely the makings. And we talk about different actors, we talk about what are the relationships between these actors, and what are the activities that they do. And the quality of the whole ecosystem is a sum of the actors that we have there, the sum of the relationships and the activities that they perform. With the sake of time, what I would like to, how I would like to run this panel right now is so that I will address one question for each panelist, and then we can have a couple of questions from the audience. So let's have a little bit interactions to the end of the day as well to keep you awake. Anyway, so let's start with Dr. Sherine. So where do you think Dubai is today in terms of this ecosystem building, in terms of collaboration between the government, the universities and industry?
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank you for the nice introduction, and I would like to thank all the audience who stayed till the end. And I hope you will have a very interesting panel discussion. Answering your question, I think that developing a collaborative model between government, industry, and academia is something very vital and something very essential for the three parties. Something very important for the academia, because the professors and the academia, they need to collaborate with the industry, because we are providing them with the products, we are providing them with students, with human skills. So we need to understand exactly the needs of the industry in order to equip our students with all the necessary skills and talent they need in order to survive in the marketplace these days. So it's very important for us to be linked to the industry in order to understand the needs of and the requirement of the future skills and the future knowledge that you need in order to help us equip the students and provide you with the our end product, which is the students, which will serve you in your organization. So this is number one. When it comes to the industry, also industry, they need the academia in different aspects. The industry, they need the academia because they need researchers, they need innovation. You need to know that the research centers and the research labs in any organization is the source of innovation. And this source of innovation powers the industry. So the need of the industry it's related to the joint research and the joint collaborative research in order to come up with different solutions, different innovation solutions, different innovation products and services who will serve the industry. Also, the industry, they need the academia in training and consultancies. This is something very important as well. And it's our role as universities and academia is to provide the industry with the, all the knowledge, and also we can offer for you, for the industry, the facilities and the equipment and the state of the art related to the academia. What's the role now of the government? The role, I think the role of the government is very important because the government should fund or should support also the academia and the industry as well with specific funds in order to support innovation and support research centers in different organizations, which at the end, it will power the industries.
Okay, very good. Now then, Dr. Sangeeth, I would like to go back actually a little bit to Dr. Alexandar's talk about this changing roles of the different actors. So, do you think we should really kind of redesign our basic assumptions of what is the role of a government, what is the role of a company, and what is the role of a university? I was thinking.
Thank you. I think, let me continue what Doctor has been so insightfully enlightening us with. From industry, I think many a time stakeholders from the university come and ask us, what do you want us to do to prepare students better so that they could come and solve our problems better? And then we flip the question around and we ask them, no, that's not the way we want it. These are your products. So responsible use of products is your responsibility. So please tell us, especially the millennials, how do we handle them? You know, how do we communicate with them? How do we train them? Because at the end of the day, people from industry would agree. Previously, we used to have long drawn 6 months training program for freshers. Now we're talking about making them productive in, let's say, 2 to 3 weeks time. You know, we're not even talking about months. So we need people who can hit the ground running. We need people who are faster. So in terms of how roles should change, forgive me for saying this, Doctor. I think I'm not quite sure what the government as a stakeholder can do to help us, but probably they can drive policy in the right direction to make things easier for us. For us, I think universities should work more actively in helping us solving our business problems. It's not just about giving manpower. It's not anymore about job descriptions and 8 to 5 jobs. I need to get more revenue, I need to get more customers, I need to reduce costs, I need to innovate, I need to embrace technology. And who else other than the hotbeds of research can support me in that? So we need to work more closely. The suggestion is, like how students are given internships, if teachers can come in and work in the industry for some time, understand our problems. If teachers can attend not just conferences related to academia, life is not just about publishing, but if we can come and attend our business conferences, our finance conferences, our HR conferences, and really understand what we need so that you can proactively mold students, that would be a huge change for you to do. How we have to change? Phenomenally, because the kind of workforce, and by the way, teachers can be happy. Previously, I remember when I joined my bank in 2007, when we get a fresh batch of recruits, when we evaluate them after 6 months, probably 10 to 15% of them would be evaluated as talented associates. Now, mashallah, we're talking about 40 to 45%. So students are much more committed, they really want to make a difference, they ask the right questions. But I think we need to change the way how we handle the younger generation by understanding better on how to engage them better.
Yeah. So it's kind of meeting the halfway, so everybody has to change. And I think it comes back to the skills. Yeah, we talk about these T-shaped individuals where we need to have the deep knowledge of your own domain, but then also understanding of the others. So, Alexandar, this is something that you're really working on. So have you seen some very good representative cases of such collaborations, either in Singapore or here in Dubai?
Yeah, I mean, in Singapore, what we have is that we have a very well systematic program to harness R&D, because my view is that universities are not just teaching, they're also doing R&D. And R&D kept in universities, in the labs, a lot of research, a lot of publications. but they don't go to market. So in Singapore, we have a project called Science to Market, where we ask the researchers to work with technologies and investors to commercialize the research. And that is really the hotbed of how innovation gets, or science gets into the market, into real tangible products. And all the multinational companies, the Googles, the Microsoft, will come to these labs, work with the researchers in these labs, and then try to commercialize it. I mean, if you look at all the Fortune 500 ICT companies, they all have their laboratories, but the laboratories are always a very guarded secret. I mean, they put their locations very specifically in areas where they can do R&D and where there's top-notch R&D university. So in Singapore, one of the key strategies is that to attract the R&D, what we call the FDI R&D, foreign direct investment in R&D, because we have the labs for them to do projects to commercialize it. At the same time, we also developed an IP regime such that professors and students will own the IP, as well as to be able to monetize that IP if that project gets into the market. And the third, we have a concept called technology broker, or what I call technology transfer office. These technology brokers, they understand the research that is being done in the lab. And mind you, researchers are not entrepreneurial by nature. They just do their research, but someone must tell them that this research has implications in the real world. So this technology broking house will then bring together the project to talk, where the researchers talk with entrepreneurs, the investors, and investors have to make a lot of big decisions because these investments are very expensive. And once they make the investment decision, it could fail. Maybe 10 out of 10 projects, maybe only 2 will succeed. So we are talking high impact projects. I mean, researching on the next drug, researching on the next cell development in physics, in chemistry. And these are brought out to the market, and they have become part of the ecosystem. I think the UAE and Dubai, we are trying to develop this commercialization model. It's not there yet, but I think some universities are trying very much. So a few years ago in Dubai, SMEB tried, but there were some disputes between the professors who wanted a cut of the profits or the pay versus the students and the university administration. So this IP regime is still not quite developed here, but I think there's some progress made. So once you have this IP regime done to translate research into commercial projects, I think that's the day when I think technology innovation will truly flourish here. One, and two, you see that multinational companies will want to develop the R&D projects here. If you go to Internet City, for example, you see most of them are sales and marketing officers. You don't see them doing R&D, but my dream is that in 10 years' time, there will be the AI labs here, the Google labs here, the Microsoft labs doing real research for the future. So my take is that teaching is one thing, R&D is one thing, but bringing R&D to the market by the university is something that we can plan and manage because Dubai is a city where we have the talent, the investment, the money. It's just that we need to have that system and the use case to kick off for a more pipeline approach.
Yeah, so it sounds that we have all the makings for making a great ecosystem, but somehow it's not quite there, and it is coming down to IPR regimes, it comes to incentives, it comes to processes, collaboration. Is that how you see it? Yeah, very good. All right, well, let's open it up then for the audience. Anybody has any specific question in mind? Oh, there's a couple. Start from the front.
Hello everyone, thank you very much for your presentations. Really enjoyed it, I hope everyone else as well. So, my name is Maxim, I'm a businessman. I have my own company here in UAE. And I have a question to Dr. Petra. I'm from the new breed of entrepreneurs, self-made entrepreneurs, who we went through all the paths from zero to millions. So what I see is that educational establishments and academia, I think they need to work more with business in general. So my question is, do you plan maybe, or do you have any idea of how educational establishment in the UAE can create a platform to speak directly with business owners and to speak with students who are really interested in doing business, not just from theoretical part of view, but from real part of view, and probably this will be the grounds for corporations for general growth of Dubai economy, UAE economy, and what do you think about this?
Well, I think maybe meaning Dr. Sherine, not myself, but I would actually like to answer this question myself very briefly. So I think when we talk about this collaboration, it's always a question, who should be leading it? Should it be government? Should it be industry? Should it be university? And there's a saying that 3 M's must meet: mindset, means, and mandate. And then we have to think about university. Do we have all those 3? We have mindset, we want to do it. Means, not always then, and the mandate. Are we really given the mandate? And I think that's where we come back to the government, because by definition, government has the mandate to actually develop the economy. But yeah, Dr. Sherine, do you have something? How can university better engage and provide this platform for collaboration with industry?
Yeah, I think it's a very excellent question. I think it's the role of the universities is to approach the businessmen and to approach the industry in order to understand clearly their needs. And based on understanding the needs of those businessmen, we can do our role, or we can start to do our role. Okay? In terms of research, for example, we need to make like a research orientation. We need to match our research with the needs of the industry. This is something very important, because now these days the academia or the researchers, they are interested to publish papers and to do research, but it's not necessarily matching, or it's devoted to the needs of the industry. And this is something very important. So try to make this a match between the industry needs and also the needs of the professors to publish papers. This is something very important. Another thing, the intellectual property, we need to manage it. We don't have a system to manage the intellectual property. I do remember that a few years ago, different governmental institutions, they approached Abu Dhabi University to do several research, but they said that they need to have the intellectual property, but at the same time, the faculty or the academia, they need to publish those papers or those research. So also managing or try to find the solutions for the intellectual property is something important also that we need to address. So there are a couple of, I can say, challenges that we need to address in order to maximize the benefit of the collaboration between the academia and the industry.
Another question.
Can I just add a little more? I think we need to chunk these challenges down and look at what is tangible and look at some quick wins too. I've got an amazing story from the banking sector. We've got an award in the banking sector, particularly in the retail space. It's called the Dubai Service Excellence Scheme. So what most of the banks do is we accept students as part of our summer internship programs, and typically they're given lackluster shadowing jobs, and they just go and sit with someone, and at the end of 1 month they come and give a presentation. I don't think the students really gain anything much out of it, and the business does not get to solve any of its problems either. So it's a sort of a lose-lose situation, frankly speaking. So what some of the banks did is, they took this project, this awards program as a project, and they brought in students and said, okay, we want you to do a couple of things. We want you to come and do mystery shopping in most of our branches and our competitors' branches. We want you to conduct in-depth interviews on what our customers of today and our future customers want. So going to schools, going to universities and ask what you want from the banking sector. Once this data was available, we said, we are from the corporate sector, we don't know what tools to use. This is raw data, we want information. So the universities used the tools and came up with a lot of insights on the difference that made the difference. Okay, what can we do to really please customers? And this information was passed on. Of course, there are challenges like intellectual property rights and all that. I think they were able to type that. But what happened is students got a real hands-on experience of what happens in the industry. What do customers want? How do banks work? What is the retail space all about? How do people in the banking sector work? How do we solve the problems? And we also got some available data which helped us. So I think that was a win-win situation. So if I could summarize the answer to your question, I think it's up to us, the corporate sector, to proactively use the amazing resources that we have on the other side of the wall. I think we're building too many walls and not enough bridges. I think we have to.
I think this is great. You're both taking responsibility that yes, the government, the industry has to reach out, and also the university has to be relevant. So I think it's great that we have this here. But yeah, let's continue then, the next question.
First of all, I would like to thank you for the presentation packed with information and insights. I'm Monica and I run my own design company, Architecture and Interior Design. My question is, how important is technical education like engineering, any stream of engineering, before a student gets into innovation and entrepreneurship at the master's level?
So maybe if you start, just to engage yourself as well.
Technical education.
Yes.
Yeah, so actually it's very important because first of all you need to... Can you hear me now? Yeah. I think it's very important because in order for, if you want to make a difference in terms of entrepreneurship or innovation, you first need to have your own skill sets. What is your skill set? A technical skill set. You must be good at cooking, knitting, sewing before you can then translate your skill sets into a commercial, scalable viability. And my take is that if for any economy to take off, you need to have that layer of vocational and technical education that builds up the skills of the person, and then for him then to see how he wants to take his skills to the next level, to be an employee or to be an entrepreneur. All right. So, but you need to ask yourself what can you offer in terms of your skills. And I always quote the example of Singapore. Singapore has, in the 1960s, built up a system of vocational education, and most of the top businessmen today have a vocational skills license. Not so much an academic education. They went to start up business and then went back to school to study MBA. So the vocational skills that they had, or the technical education that they had, made them specialists in their own right, and they can then commercialize that skill set into a business. So it's something I think that the UAE and Dubai is also pushing hard to have this vocational skills education with industry setting up here.
Just thank you so much. I would like just only to add that when it comes to technical or professional education, it's also the responsibility of the academia or the universities to do that. We do that in different ways. We do that through offering to our students internship programs, for example, in different organizations before that they graduate and start their postgraduate degrees. We have students who spend up to 3 months working in different organizations. So I think by doing that, they will acquire the technical and the professional skills needed in the labor market. This is number one. Number two, also we have something that we call co-curricular activities, which includes different field trips and different other activities that enhance the skills of the technical skills of the students to prepare them for the work life in the future. So we have different ways we make sure that the students will acquire the technical skills before joining the industry and before starting their careers. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? We have,
Yes, hello, my name is Reem. I'm a consultant with Frost & Sullivan. So I've heard Dr. Sherine talk about the gaps between the industry and the academia. However, I don't know if it's really relevant right now, but what are the gaps between high schools and schools and the academia? So schools are the ones that feed the students to you, and are the 3, 4, 5 years enough to actually re-engineer their way of studying and fill in the gaps? What is your input on that? What are you planning to do for that?
So you're talking about the gap between the high school and the academia?
Yes.
Yeah, I think 3 or 4 years it's enough in order to equip the students to start their careers. And as I said before, that this is the responsibility of the universities and the higher education system to equip and to prepare the students for future careers. We do that, as I said, in different forms. We do that in classrooms, we do that in engaging students in internship, field trips, doing research, joining research centers, traveling. We do a lot of activities in order to shape the skills of the students and to prepare them for the future careers. Thank you.
If I may, sorry, we had an interesting experiment where we brought in 17-year-old students to work in the banking sector. We gave them assignments to work, and we found that they asked the right questions, they merged into the environment, they were acclimatized quite quickly, and they started delivering results. So we said, oh my God, this is straight out of school. So I wouldn't want to credit the schooling system much, but I think that the new generation is much more result-oriented and they're impatient. So if they don't know something, they'll find means to learn it and do it. So I think we can absorb them into the workforce a little bit sooner. What I would love to say is that yes, if academic programs can be shortened with more focus on probably on-the-job trainings, starting from the second year onwards probably, once you give them some basic orientation of theory, that would really help us get these people to be employable much faster. Because students now probably come endowed with much more skills than they used to.
That's why, for example, at Abu Dhabi University, we included all the workforce skills 2020 in our learning outcomes. This is a great example of how we can integrate or bridge the gap between the industry and the academia.
Okay, very good. And I think it's very relevant because you see a lot more engagement also between industry and high school and government and high schools as well. So let's continue.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. It's a great platform and knowledge as well. I need to know, as the future jobs trend is changing, are the institutions providing any skills, trainings for the current people as well as the millennials to work with the robots as going to, or started already in the industry? That's it.
My sense is that the universities, I mean, at least in the UAE, they are conscious of the new skill sets, the trends coming on board. There is a lot of analysis on what the future skills are in the workplace. The millennials, I mean, what their desires, because a lot of millennials now, and my nephews and nieces are millennials, they don't want a permanent job. They want to work at their own time, own target. They want to be focused on a lot of analysis, digital in the digital space. They want to create new opportunities for themselves. They want to experience. They don't want to own assets. They want to experience mobility.
That's actually, that's where sometimes the government might actually step in. So that's actually the missing piece, because it's the incentive for the government in order to, collaborate that transition. So my question actually is, how much, or has that been thought, I guess, as a program between the three entities, government, education, and workforce? And if so, when do we expect to see it in the near future?
Yes, so we're really talking about kind of transition of the education into giving credits for actual work and training, maybe civil service, something like that. So what do you think? Is that going to happen? Or?
I think that's a space with a lot of opportunities. I would like to extend the scope a bit on people who've actually, the ones who opted out of formal learning. There are a lot of youngsters. We were part of a government accelerator program last year where we wanted to absorb, I think, 1,800 young Emiratis were looking for jobs, but they were not formally qualified because at some point or the other they had to drop out from school or college. How do we make sure that they're re-skilled? So I think there are a lot of opportunities for universities to come in and see what is it that the workforce of tomorrow will be needing, what kind of knowledge and skills, and then offer complementary programs in association with corporates. We could extend a huge part of our CSR's budget for that. If government can tweak policies a little bit in terms of minimum qualifications and work around the entry barriers, then I think a lot of people can benefit from this.
The issue is that we cannot work in isolation of the industry. We cannot. It's something that we need. That's why also we have advisory boards at the university and in different colleges as well. Members of those advisory boards are experts from the industries, CEOs and people from the industry, in order to they helped us they provide us with their inputs related to different curriculum. So we cannot work in isolation of the industry.
We have a complaint. People from the corporate sector has a complaint and it's directed to Dr. Sherine. There are a lot of people in the corporate sector who would like to take up adjunct faculty positions. Okay, and students ask for it because people with relevant industry experience who are knee-deep in problems in the industry, they would like to go and empower and educate the youngsters. But when they look for opportunities to do so, you will have requirements like you should have published 3 papers annually, and these kind of things which I think paper publishing should be left to the academia because they have the tools and the resources to do that, and we can work together. Probably the know-how can come from the corporate sector, the do-how could come from the from academia.
We do that. Yeah. We have at Abu Dhabi University a lot of adjunct faculties, and they are mainly from the industry, and they come and they even they teach different courses. So which university ask you for that? No, we do not require publications for adjunct faculty, but because really we are in need of the expertise of the people from the industry in order to also support us in the learning process of our students.
Yeah, I think though that some more profound changes will also be needed. There is the accreditation that there are some requirements for the degrees that has to change if we want to go that route. But yeah, there's one more question. So let's go with that still. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I have a question for Dr. Sangeeth. I've been into a university where I've been gone through with this similar process of going into the industry. We don't have final year projects. We went there, we were given a project, group of 5, and we worked for 6 months on that particular project, doing mystery shopping, research and everything. With marketing students, it's okay. But I'm talking about finance, HR, other departments. It's not that easy to give the students the work that you are doing and then ask them to do it and complete it. With marketing, you have a lot of things going on. You're on the field, you learn things with time, but other departments cannot make a mistake. So what do you think about that and how industry can cope?
Can I have your name, please?
Raza.
Brother Reza, frankly speaking, most corporates look at internship projects as something as part of a checklist. We'll have to absorb so many students and they come in and we find weird kind of projects given where they just go and passively spend time shadowing someone. The only output that comes out from them is a presentation at the end of 6 months, which is customarily missed by most of the stakeholders. So I think corporates have to find value in what you can offer. And I'm just so unfortunate that corporates are blind to the potential that you come in. Millennials, young, dynamic, you really want to prove a point. So even in mission critical areas like finance, risk management, there are a lot of problems where we have to get insights. And because we're caught in the day-to-day firefighting process, we really don't get time to step back, reflect on what's happening, and look at the bigger picture. So without really hampering business prospects, I think we still can work together and get your inputs on solving problems. But the corporate sector has to be a little more creative in finding ways to do that. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So now for concluding remarks, I would like each one of you to use just one word to describe the future of Dubai ecosystem, innovation ecosystem. So what word would you use to describe it? Only one word. I know academics like a lot of words, but just one word.
Ambitious, for example.
Very good.
Togetherness.
I like to use the word collaboration and a laboratory. So, yeah.
Kind of sneaking in two words.
Yeah, to experiment and create new things.
Anyway, thank you very much for the audience. Thank you very much for the panelists. I think it's very, very insightful. We brought in a lot of different views, and I think this is a very nice way to conclude the whole day. So thank you everybody for coming on behalf of the DED and Abu Dhabi University. And then next time we would like to invite you for lunch.